I want to thank you for joining me today. And before we get started, as always, all messages that are released on this channel are my truth. And that is exactly what it is and what it always will be. And that is my truth. Now, my truth consists of a bunch of experiences that I gained clarity from, which ultimately took me back to the real me, which is truth. Now, when I try to convince you that my truth is the gospel, however, my truth is the gospel for me. That does not make it the gospel for you, nor will I ever try to make it the gospel for you. By me being on this platform, I am simply placing breadcrumbs on a path that I've already walked. Now, you find yourself on a similar path and you resonate with said breadcrumbs and you say, you know what, I like that. I want to follow that. And that's cool. If not, that is cool as well. My purpose is to assist those who are ready to get out of their own way. So let's get right into it. All right, so let's jump right in. So today, I wanted to talk about two pitfalls on your path to being your higher self that a lot of people fall into. And if you make it past the first one, then sometime the second one will trap you up for the rest of your life. So let's get into it. So the first trap, let's look at the scale again, because this is going to be the easiest way for you to follow along what I'm saying. So on the scale, we're going to start with the first one. And the first one is 175, pride. Now, as you can see on the scale, if you look to the left of pride, you're still in the third dimension. So that means you're working in your lower self, your lower chakras. You have the mindset of life is happening to me. So pride is what gets a lot of people. Now, if you were, let's say you got on your journey, right? And you were with a lot of fear and guilt and shame and so forth, and you jump up to pride, that's going to be a totally different feeling. You're going to feel a major shift, right? So it's going to feel like you've made a lot of progress and hey, I'm on the right road. So now you're going to start feeling more confident because you've risen above shame, guilt, and fear, and so on. But let's say you get a better job. Now you start smelling yourself, right? So now you build this new persona of I'm this, I'm that. You feel like you're on the right path because you have new knowledge and new skills. Now, don't get me wrong. You are on the right path because you are rising up. The thing is, do not get comfortable in any one location. It is literally levels to this. That's the best way to describe it. If you look at the scale, it is levels. 20 to 30 is a level. 30 to 50, all these are different levels, stages that you can go up. So if you stop at, no matter how good one feels, if you stop there, that's your choice. It obviously is. But like I said, if you're trying to be the highest and greatest version of yourself, those are the two biggest traps that people typically fall into. So let's continue on. So like I said, so you'll see what you overcame. And if you're not careful, you'll fall into a hole. Because I know this, I know that. Oh, I got it all figured out. That's what the whole pride thing is. You thinking you have something figured out, but you don't. You've only pulled yourself out of one hole. But there is plenty more holes for you to crawl out of. It's dimensions that you're entering. And each dimension is going to be something new for you to tackle, for you to handle. That's why you hear that saying, new levels, new devils. Because as you keep going up and rising, you're going to be working through different energies. And what I discovered on my journey personally is I would work on something and I knew I would clear a certain area that was my energy. But then you go deeper. When you go deeper in yourself, you're just going into a different dimension within. And that new dimension can have something that in the same area that you were already working on. So you'll think, oh, I conquered that. When, yes, in that lower dimension. But now it's something could be something heavier than it was in that lower dimension. That's why you get it in bits and pieces instead of all thrown on you, because that weight would be too heavy. So don't get caught up in pride and creating this, like to say, spiritual ego. Especially if you're talking about being in spirituality, it's an easy way of getting caught in that little trap as well, which is going to have you judging others because you think you're the shit now, right? So then it's going to be because you think you figured out this and that. Now you're not even able to receive feedback, because you think you know it all, because that pride is very strong. That's a hard one for a lot of people to get out of, because you just feel you're right. But there is, as you can see, where pride ranks on the scale, is still so much ground for you to cover. So do not get stuck in pride. So that is the first one. Now we continue up the scale. The second trap is going to be knowledge. Now, you might be saying, well, how the hell is knowledge bad? This dude tripping. Well, it's a trap if you want to be your highest and greatest self. That's why it's a trap. If you go back and look at some of the things of like Tesla and especially Einstein, there are a lot of things he'll say like that spooky stuff. He'll have him quoted as that is because he can't explain it. And as a scientist, you go by things you can measure, things you can see, because scientists believe that everything has a justification, a reason. And science is actually my favorite subject. It is literally my favorite subject. So, but if you want to go above that, you're going to have to raise yourself above knowledge. And love is above knowledge. So that is the problem that science has, because when you start talking about love and this, that, and the other, you can't measure that. You can't say, because it's so irrational. Look at everything you do for love, so it's totally irrational, right? But these are different energies, and they're higher energies than that of knowledge. Knowledge is, if you look at that scale, it says inner wisdom, 440. Inner wisdom, which you know. So you're talking about going above that. Now you're talking about love. So you're looking at knowledge anywhere between 400, 460, let's say. So you want to raise higher than that. Now you're talking about getting into the love frequency. It's going to be more than what you can see, know, improve in this third dimension, because we are more spiritual beings than we are physical beings. So you can easily cling to what you can see and what you can prove. And then from here, you can embrace knowing information and you can understand the truth easier. Now, when you tap into that heart space, which is love, now that understanding shifts into a space of perceiving truth. It's more of knowing and feeling. This is why most intellectuals never go above this level, because they can't explain it. And what they can't explain and what they can't document, they'll just see it as something else. They're going to give it a name. They're going to give it a label, because they don't want to go there. But like I said, if you look at the scale, 500 is love. Now you're talking about compassion, forgiveness, not so quick to judge others. You naturally feel that connection to others. Above 500, you're going to know we're all connected instead of believing we are. You see, there's a difference. If you're staying in knowledge, everything that you know is from a book. Where'd you get that information? From another person. Where did they get that information? So now you don't know, because everybody has their own experience and everybody is tapping into something different, because you're in your own individual soul's journey. Now, I look at a lot of this information and knowledge, and I found myself on my journey when I was going through it. I I dove into knowledge. That was a beautiful part of my journey, because then you get all this information, but then it got to a point where I started reading this, and I wanted more and more and more. And then I had to pause for a second, and I was like, wait a minute. Okay. I know me. I was like, if I go down this rabbit hole of just like gathering all this information, because what I noticed is once you start going down the hole of knowledge, you should quickly learn that you know nothing. That's what you should get out of gaining knowledge, that you know absolutely nothing. Because when I started my journey and I started diving into knowledge, everything I thought I knew was wrong. So I was like, okay, this is very interesting. Then you start going into all this different knowledge, and it's so much information out there. You'll never get through the amount of information that's out there. So it's a lot of knowledge out there. So at some point, you're going to have to stop gathering knowledge and get more so in the experience aspect of it. That's what it's about. As I said, if you're trying to go to your highest and greatest version of yourself, you're going to have to go above knowledge. And the only way you're going to go above knowledge is going within and experiencing all these different things that you read about. Because if you don't experience it, you don't really understand it. It's easy to regurgitate some information you read in a book, but experiencing something and truly understanding why it is the way it is two totally different things. So above that 500 of love, you start becoming presence, and you're more so in that observer phase. And that's where you want to be permanently, is in the observer phase, knowing that everything around you is happening for you and it's not working against you. So when we move through life, it's easier to come across people who claim that they're this and they're that. Oh, I'm love, I'm light, and this, that, and the other. What these individuals, a lot of these individuals are doing are they're tapping into love, happiness, peace temporarily. They're not staying there as their permanent vibration. So in order for you to stay at these places, your permanent vibration, you have to raise your energy level within. And that's how you do the inner work. That's how you tap into deeper portions of yourself and press forward through all these different levels. Because the goal is to make these levels your permanent place, not just to tap into it quickly and jump back out. That's why I said in another message that love is a cheat code. That's why they push so hard of breaking relationships, because love is a cheat code. If you can find a partner where you are pouring love into this person is pouring love into you, if that relationship remains happy and everybody is doing what they need to do, you're at 500. You're at 500, right? That's a cheat code. You're already at 500. Then if you work together, you get on the same page, you can raise above 500 together. That's what it's about. Now, for this to work, the man needs to be in the masculine, the female needs to be in the feminine. And then those masculine energies combine, boom, now it's one energy. This is the thing. So that one energy that you combine is now at 500. Then you work as a team to go higher. Now, if one competing with the other, no, it's not going to work. You have to be on the same page. Understand that relationships are a cheat code if you can find the right person. And obviously, that person needs to be healed. And that's what it's about. So I just wanted to hop on and give two quick examples, basically, of where a lot of people get tripped up on this journey. So you can look out for these things if you're trying to become your highest and greatest version. Everything you believe is basically a box. So your beliefs can trap you. So you can go from, I'll give you one more example. Let's say you go from making $1,000 or $3,000 a month to making $10,000 a month. That's a nice jump. Then if you get complacent there and you think that, hey, I made it, I'm doing good, you'll stay at $10,000 a month because that's where your beliefs are set at. But if you say, I want to be a billionaire, then you're going to be making more than $10,000 a month, obviously. Right? So, but if you think believe you're only worth $10,000 a month, you'll never go above that 10,000. So as I said, there are levels. Don't get stuck and put yourself in a box and you stay there. Always remember, I know nothing. Oh, I'm experiencing this. I'm experiencing that. And it's how you stay on that path, because it's very easy to get pulled off of the path. Don't forget, the path is a narrow path. So it's very easy for you to get pulled off. And I'm going to leave it there. And as always, if you got anything out of this message, I ask you to hit the like, subscribe, and I will definitely check you in the next one.